You're a monster.
I'm your number one fan.
Now clear your minds. Know's what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Just been informed that zombies have entered the building. They're at the door. They're coming in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Frosty. Alongside me, as always, is Corey Peak.
What's going on?
And last but certainly not least, we have with us Tony Arroyo. What's up, man?
What's going on, fellas?
So, welcome back. Good to be back. We are officially wrapping up Zombie Month with this episode. I was looking at the date today. I was like, we are like 1 week into March as of now, and we're just finishing Zombie Month. I don't know how that happened.
Like I put on the Facebook group, we're just three people with busy lives, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to get together.
Yep.
It happens. Yep. It's been a weird year, even so far. You know, like last year sucked. This year's just been weird so far, at least for me. But we are finally back, coming at you on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Now, wherever you can listen to podcasts, we are there. Again, our YouTube channel has been growing. We have been getting some activity on there, some comments. We do appreciate that very much. It helps grow the page. Just be sure to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us. That would be awesome. A huge shout out to Joseph Moore, one of the admins in our Facebook group, which we're there as well. Go to facebook.com, go to search bar, type in the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. It is a closed group. Ask nicely. We will let you in. At least I will. Tony might try to, I don't watch your fingers around him. I think he's starting to turn.
Yes, I am.
We are we are there in the Facebook group. But shout out to Joseph. He's actually been putting in a good word for us to all his friends and all people at work, just people at school. So do what he does. Be like a Joseph. Joseph's a cool guy. We like Joseph.
Yeah.
But it would help help grow the show. That'd be freaking awesome of you guys. But with that being said, I think we should jump right into this. So this episode is going to be special. The past couple episodes, we've really been taking deep dives into a specific movie that we all watched. This episode is going to be dedicated to kind of a zombie movie roulette. We all picked our own movies and watched them. I actually picked one that I hadn't seen before to do a review on. Boy, was it a wild one. So, unfortunately, I wanted to watch more. But like I said, we had a pretty crazy schedule the past couple of weeks. So, unfortunately, I was not able to do that. But I did take a deep dive in this one, and I think it's going to be fun to cover. You fellas have anything to add before we jump into this? And who wants to go first?
Whoever, really.
Yep. I mean, I can jump and go first, fellas, if that's all right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. This is going to be a really interesting episode. Perfectly entitled by Daniel saying it's a zombie roulette episode, because it's exactly what the stuff is. So, my movie that I watched for this really awesome episode is Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, or Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, or Don't Open the Window. A slew of other titles. It's got a lot of titles. But it's 1974 Spanish-Italian zombie film. It's from the glorious decade of the 70s. It's a very underrated zombie film. It's getting a little buzz here and there. I know Synapse just released a gorgeous Blu-ray steelbook that it just looks incredible. And I think a lot of collectors in general, are jumping on that. and watching the film for the first time and really gaining a new appreciation for it, because there's a lot of crazy themes going on in this film, that and a lot of stuff, honestly, that you could never get away with now.
Yeah.
Really, really taboo. It shows its age, but not in a bad way. It's just society. We've come so far and we've changed so much as what's acceptable and what's not. So there's a lot of things going on. And I'm like, oh shit, that definitely wouldn't fly today.
Speaking of unacceptable, I went to IMDb to type in "Let Sleeping Corpses Lie," and there was a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm not kidding. It was there. Kidding, not kidding. Please don't cancel me.
You got me on that one, dude. But so basically, the plot of this movie is we follow our main character, George, played exceptionally by the great Ray Lovelock, he's an awesome actor. I love him and stuff. When I get to see him, I'm like, oh, Ray Lovelock's sweet. I just love he's got such charisma, and you just love his character. You side with him. You're along, basically you're along the ride with him and what he's, dealing with, essentially, because as you progress in this movie, there's a lot of like situations he just ends up falling into, and it's like, damn, it's really unfortunate what happens. Like, he just didn't expect all this to happen, and it just landed in his lap, and it's like, oh shit, he just has to learn how to deal with it, essentially. But we followed him. He's actually I think he owns his own antique shop in England, and he's just locking up for the weekend, and he's actually going to meet some friends at a house and start working on a house with a bunch of his friends. So along the way, he stops at a gas station, and he actually gets hit by our other protagonist, Edna, who basically just like runs into him on his bike, and it's pretty fucking crazy how that just happens. He's just, and her excuse is like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just tired, and you just backed up into the guy and just destroyed his bike. It's crazy. So, like I said, one thing that happens that probably wouldn't fly today is he pretty much is like, well, you just kind of, well, the guy's like, well, we're going to work on your bike, but we know it's going to be a little longer than a couple days, so you're going to be out of commission for a while. And he's like, oh, well, I'll just invite myself to take over her car and just drive her. And, it's like, well, that'll never happen today.
I thought it was gentlemanly, very chivalrous. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm like, because I've watched it before, and I never thought twice about it. But I'm like, yeah, he just kind of invites himself into her car and just takes it over. He drives it too, because obviously he's like, you can't drive shit, so I'm going to drive.
It's amazing what the current political podcast, the current political climate has done to our way of thinking.
Right.
It's like, even if you don't agree with things that are said or done nowadays, it's like you see something and you go back and watch a movie from like the 70s or 80s, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not like in the Letterkenny, and they're like, that's not PC, buddy.
Yeah, it's not PC at all. And there's a lot of that going on in this movie, and it completely blew me away. But in a way, it's kind of refreshing, because it's like, damn, you just don't see this anymore. It's very of its time, and that's what I love about films that are shot in the even the 60s or the 70s. I mean, they just have a purity to them, and it's just, like I said, something you don't see anymore. Very un-Hollywood.
Right.
But basically, he takes over. She has to be somewhere. He's like, I'll just drop. I'll take you there, or I'm going to go here first, and you can take the car and go where you need to go. And she basically breaks down and says, hey, I'm meeting my sister. I really need to go there first. There's a lot of stuff going on where I need to help her. She's in a bad way. So he's like, okay, he feels bad. She starts breaking down. So he feels bad. He's a gentleman. So he's like, yeah, I'll just take you to your sister. And she even suggests, he's like, well, you just take me to her, and you can take the car, and I can pick it up some other time or whenever. And I'm like, that also would never happen. So it's just weird how this whole situation unfolded. But basically, um, they're trying to get to where her sister is in a different town. So they kind of get lost along the way, and they stop in to ask for directions. And there's an experiment going on where these agriculturalists are working on this new technology that uses, I think it's ultrasonic radiation, and it's supposed to make the insects. It's supposed to basically kill off any insects that are killing off the crops um, that they're trying to grow. It uses the ultrasonic radiation to basically make the insects fight each other and kill each other off. But little do they know that this affects everything with a low immune system, including the recently deceased and even like newborn babies, which is crazy. It's another thing that happens, which is bizarre. But yeah, this giant piece of machinery is actually bringing the dead back to life, and just crazy madness ensues. But this movie's great, man. It's completely underrated. It's really gory, especially for the time it came out. Like, you just did not see stuff like that. I mean, this came out before Dawn of the Living Dead, so there's a lot of stuff. It's like, wow, damn, like that's pretty gory, especially for the time. But I mean, I love this movie. It's so much fun. You follow these characters, you're invested in them. Even like the shots of the countryside, because I know this was shot in England, but there were some establishing shots too um, in Italy. So there, I mean, they took advantage of the countryside, the shot. Well, it's nice to see that. It's really breathtaking. But the zombies themselves are really cool. They have like really really red eyes, and you know when you see them, it almost sounds like an underwater kind of low frequency sound that they make, which is really it's really just unnerving. And really, like the first time you see a zombie and he kind of turns to the one of the characters and you lock eyes with him, and it's like, oh shit, like this is weird. And then you hear that sound come from them. It's like, oh wow, that's really just unnerving. But
Yeah.
it's great, dude. I absolutely adore this movie. Whenever we talked about just pulling just a random zombie movie to do this kind of roundtable discussion on, this was the first movie that popped into my mind because I just feel like I need to talk more about it. I wish more people would see it, and if I could do anything to help that cause, I will. By talking a little bit more about it. But obviously, I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but especially for people who haven't seen it. So it's amazing. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I remember sitting down and actually watching that for the first time with you
Mhm.
years ago. That was that was a blast. I had a lot of fun with that film. I need to revisit that.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's definitely for fans of, I want to say, even if you like it's a slower film. I will admit some people will kind of be turned off by its more slow burn aspects, but for me it doesn't feel that way because I'm so invested in the character of George, played by Ray Lovelock, that I just you live vicariously through him, and it really makes the runtime just fly by. For me personally, I could see where people would think it's a little slower, and a lot of the really intense like action, and I wouldn't say action, but really the intense like gore and stuff like that happen more toward the end. I mean, there's a little sprinkled in the film here and there, but it really jumps off at the end and gets crazy. So I could see where some people wouldn't enjoy it, but I love this movie, man. I think it's completely underrated.
Yeah, I
So
agree with you there. It definitely needs more of a viewing
yeah,
because
hopefully it
from what I
does, man.
remember, and
Uh,
I remember when I watched that with you. I remember honestly falling in love with some of the set pieces. Just it was
yeah,
just
beautiful.
like you said, is really good. Yeah.
It's cool too because the zombies themselves, we have our like a patient zero zombie, the first zombie, and there's a scene in it's like a mausoleum, and bodies, like recently deceased bodies in the mausoleum, and the way that the zombie, like, it's weird. It's kind of interesting because the dead that are in their coffins and stuff like that, he just kind of walks up to them and like touches their eyes, and that's how they start, and that's how they wake up. It's crazy. Because you would think that the frequencies from the ultrasonic radiation is like that's what the catalyst is that's turning them. But in that scene, like he turns them by just like touching their eyelids, and then they just spring to life, and it's really cool. There's another aspect where um, since the radiation is affecting organisms with a lower immune system, these babies are being rabid. Like as soon as they're born, they're attacking the doctors and stuff like that. Like you don't see that, like literally, like it doesn't turn into like a killer baby film or anything like that. But they are like outwardly aggressive toward the hospital staff and the nurses and stuff like that. And it's really crazy. That's another thing you just wouldn't see today. There's a lot of that shit going on in this. But it's so much fun. Like I said, I highly recommend. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't think a lot of, especially, I mean, even our audience probably, a lot of the people haven't really seen it. So I don't want to kind of just discuss everything that's going on, but I do want to recommend it. And for people that want to watch a different type of zombie film, this is one. And I know Corey, you said you've enjoyed it too. I don't think Daniel's seen it.
I started watching it a while back.
Okay.
And I got close to the end. I just put it down, and I was going to come back to it, and ended up getting busy. And we had and I think that's around the time we started Cronenberg month, so I had to like buckle down and watch those movies.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I liked it. What I saw so far, I thought it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Very I had like I think I might have told you. I was telling Corey. I know that had like a Resident Evil 4 vibe to it, That, like small town, Italian town, like just foggy atmosphere.
Damn, that's actually a good reference. I like that. Now that you said that, I kind of do think
it's very claustrophobic too. In terms of like like the part where they're down in the tomb.
Oh yeah,
the corpses were waking up and they're trying to find a way out of there. Like it was pretty, pretty nerve wracking.
That's that's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Honestly, I love all that. It's amazing, like the terror and the like you said, claustrophobia, especially when they're trying to get out. Confined.
It was simple but done well. You know what I mean? It wasn't too convoluted. It wasn't too over the top. It was just right. It was trapped in a tomb. Got to find a way out. And as he's trying to climb out, they grab hold of his foot. The classic horror.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Classic horror trope, if you will. But it was it was pretty cool when I saw all of it. I need to finish it for real.
It's definitely a fun watch, man, especially if you like atmosphere in your zombie films. I mean, it's got it. There's a lot of fog and there's a lot of, just dreary just atmosphere. And and I do want to mention the fact that this movie is unique in that the zombies can only be killed by fire. So basically, if you incinerate them, then they're going to be put down. But you can shoot them, you can like stab them, attack them, and they're just going to keep coming at you. So it's really cool. I love that they used like a different way or different mode of dispatching the dead. Even, we talked about Return of the Living Dead, and we mentioned that, hey, each and every part of this being is reanimated. So even if you chop off an arm or chop off, a head, the arm's still going to come after you. Like it's basically drawn to you, and it's acting on instinct. So in this way, it's another unique, spin on the zombie lore. So that's another thing I really enjoyed about this movie.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I really liked about it is again, it's that classic zombie that it's scarier in numbers than it is fast paced. So you got all these slow zombies, and honestly, I'm not a fan of the fast zombie, even though Return of the Living Dead is one of my favorites. hands down, though, I prefer slow zombies over fast zombies. It's more realistic. I mean, it's dead tissue.
Yeah,
They're not going to come at you running. They're
right.
they're going to be slow.
Yeah, that's why I always equate that to like the the infected, like it's like a virus. So a virus would, like, I don't know, it equated to like a rage virus. Like that's why they're so fast paced and stuff like that. But with zombies, to me, it just makes more sense that they're slow. Like I like the Romero, you know, you know, zombie. That to me is appealing.
Yeah.
So even though like you said, dude, it works in return because I don't know, that movie's just fast paced and it fits with the whole fast paced punk aesthetic to that movie. So,
Yeah.
but to me, like I enjoy the aspect of a um, slower zombie. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's me. I love this movie of many titles. It's so much fun. Um, I said there's a lot of editions. I had. I mean, there's the Anchor Bay edition that's out there. I think Frosty's. You got that one. I think Corey's got that one.
Yeah.
You have the Blue Underground version. There's been a Blue Underground Blu-ray. Just put up a gorgeous steelbook, which looks amazing. So there's ways to watch it. And I even think it's on Shudder, and it might be on Tubi and a lot of other streaming services. So it's available to check out. And if you can, I would highly recommend checking it out.
Definitely. Daniel, did you want to go next, or
Yeah, I can knock this one out.
okay? I've heard. I believe these are the two older films, right?
Probably
Yeah,
this was 81.
yeah, 81.
So 81 and what was yours? 74. 74.
74, yeah, excuse me, 74.
Yeah. So I did Burial Ground, The Nights of Terror.
It's how it's
1980. Yeah, 1981. Also titled Le Notte del Terror. I guess.
Well,
I don't know. I don't speak Italian or Spanish or whatever this is. This is Italian, right?
that sounds Italian to me.
Okay, we'll go with that. We got the
Which
Marios and the Luigis. So this one was an interesting one because I heard so much, like, you guys were raving about this film. And I remember going to Scratch and Spin with Corey, and we were doing some movie hunting, and I found it. I was like, "Hey, y'all always talk about this movie." He's like, "Yeah, dude, you gotta get it. It's so good." um, I'm not gonna say I don't like. If you're listening right now, this movie to me was not good, but that's kind of the appeal too. Like,
Yeah.
definitely, if you can find a way to watch this movie just for the outrageous fucking scenes in this movie,
Mhm.
please do.
And there's plenty.
So the movie starts off, this old bearded, like, professor slash scientist slash archaeologist, whatever. He's down in
Heck of all
this
times.
Ichabod Crane. Yeah, jack of all trades. Um, he's down in these tombs, and he somehow makes this wild discovery that the dead is coming back to life, and he's just like, I have to tell someone. This is amazing. And then I guess he goes and invites some people. He goes into his mansion, invites a group of people, I guess his students, to come, to come check it out, check out his discovery. Like, hey, I just found zombies. Want to chill? All right, bet. And so hangs up the
Gonna be a
phone,
fun-
immediately goes, yeah, immediately goes and runs back into the tomb, and zombies come alive. Who knew? Like, I don't know. I guess he doubted them, but they come alive and they attack him, and it's funny because he's like trying to I guess make contact with them as he's getting attacked, and he's like, "No, I'm your friend." Like, as they're eating him alive.
Mhm.
So, anyways, the group shows up. The professor's like nowhere to be found. They all make themselves comfortable. The couples get a little promiscuous, a little frisky, and
Mhm.
I don't even remember how the zombies actually like what was the initiation scene? You know, like when did the zombies actually come alive to attack them? I guess at this point they had already escaped the tomb and were kind of roaming around, and then eventually made their way to the mansion. But another Resident Evil reference.
Mhm.
But so the zombies look pretty cool. They were very unique.
Dude,
They had like um the zombie thing going where that looked like they had wore maybe like a black mask underneath and then put the zombie mask on top, because you could definitely tell, like, if you looked hard enough, it was just that. It was just some guys in like black face paint, and then they just put this clay mold over their face.
well, that's the thing about these zombies is they're so unique looking because they're like crusty and like dried out, and
Yeah.
it's really weird. It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
So when they're getting like their heads mashed in and stuff like that, it looks like so crusty and shit. It's really
Yeah.
gross. It's really disgusting,
Like,
but it's so appealing at the same time where it
yeah,
works.
exactly. I'm looking at screenshots now. This one zombie looks like Doc from Back to the Future got hit with a flamethrower. uh, um, but it was cool too, because and this goes back to Resident Evil, and you can tell that, like, when they were when Capcom was developing those games, they got a lot of influence from these old Italian zombie movies, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah.
because like these zombies use weapons,
Yes.
like and that's what's really cool, and it's also funny at the same time because it had ridiculous. I remember this one ridiculous scene where the maid like opens up the window, and like with the most precision accuracy, like ninja style accuracy I've ever seen, the zombie throws a knife and sticks her head to the window.
So great.
So she's like, my hand, and like she doesn't think to reach and grab it, pull it out. She sits there and screaming, and the zombie just slowly walks up, has this giant fucking scythe, just pulls her head off.
Yeah.
That's
Comes right off.
I like how slow the scene is too.
so slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can like see it going through her neck. It was ugh.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of cool. There's a couple of the scenes where zombies use weapons or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, like the movie was enjoyable. I'm not gonna like completely shit on it. I feel like there are some things that could have done better, but there were some really cool scenes, like the scene where the man goes into the when they're in the sanctuary, and he goes into that room, and they're all like sitting down, like they're praying,
Mm-hmm.
and then they like slowly look up, and they got the robes on.
Yeah.
Like, that's some mad Resident Evil 4 vibes there, and so I thought it was cool. And it looks like they possibly used real maggots on some of the zombies.
I think they did, yeah.
So that was freaking gross.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Italians and their maggots, man.
yeah,
They use them.
I would say the dialogue in this movie was pretty wild too, because it was going back to the 80s, and it's a Italian film, so they don't give a shit. They don't think like American audiences 20 years later are gonna watch this and be like, what the fuck is this? So they had lines in there like the lady was dressed up in sexy lingerie, and he's like, you look like a little whore. I like that. So
Yeah, the dialogue is insane. It's absolutely insane.
But I mean, like, it was cool in the fact how like everyone kind of stuck together and genuinely tried to survive. I can't think of like any scenes where the characters just genuinely did stupid things, other than maybe Michael. Michael, he's the star of this movie. Let me tell you.
You got to talk about
The
Mike.
elephant in the room, that's for sure.
So little Michael, he's supposed to be like 11, 12 in this movie, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they want you to believe, because he's like one of the main actresses. He's her son, and but he looks like a grown man in the face.
Yeah.
So I believe they've casted a grown man
They
to
did.
play this scene, and they had to. Let
They
me
did.
explain. So little Michael gets to portray a scene with his mom where he's just all of a sudden so infatuated with her. Now that didn't just happen in the movie. It was like they kind of alluded to it, which was weird.
Yeah.
Because there's a scene where like he walks in when his mom and I guess that's his stepdad,
Mhm.
maybe his biological father.
Boyfriend or something? No, I don't think it was his biological father.
I don't think it was either. Come to think of it,
I think they portrayed him as like her boyfriend or something.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of looking at IMDb cast here, there's a lot of actors and all that just they maybe played in this movie and nothing else. Like there's no IMDb credits with it. Like if you're like one of the lead supporting actors in the movie and you don't have a picture next to your name on IMDb, chances were this was your only movie.
Mm-hmm.
But so forgive me, I cannot remember his name, but he they were getting on. Martin and little Michael walks in. She's like butt naked, stands up. Instead of just covering up and be like, "Get out of here, little shithead," she just stands up. But she's like, "Oh well, I'm butt naked. Look at me." And so that later turns into Michael just getting touchy feely with his mom. It's really weird.
Yes,
It's a very awkward scene, and then it gets worse.
it does get.
It gets worse.
Just when you wouldn't think it would get worse, it gets worse.
It does a lot
There's
worse.
no way they can make this like any more uncomfortable than they do.
It could make it even comfortable. I will say that I don't understand. I don't want to spoil it, but I will say that it leads to an extraction of the breasticle. And we'll just leave it at that. But I would have felt remorse had I not talked about the awkwardness that is Michael.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you're listening, go to IMDb right now, type in Burial Ground, pull this movie up, and just look at the screenshots with little Michael and tell me they ain't no uncomfortable looking little dude.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I watched this movie, it caught me so off guard because I think Tony had actually told me about this movie, and then I bought it.
Mhm.
And you watched it with your wife and kids.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Okay.
That was gutter balls.
Oh,
That's a different story.
story.
Jesus.
But no, no. I remember watching this one night. I was just like, I'm gonna watch this because Tony's hyped this up so much, but didn't tell me about little Michael at all.
No.
Watched this and I was like, what in the fuck? That is either the ugliest fucking kid I have ever seen in my life.
No. I thought he was like their little butler or something.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not son.
So weird looking.
Yeah.
You couldn't have done better. I mean, this is 81. You couldn't have done better. Yeah, but they did that and yeah.
Wow.
And then that final scene, it's like, okay, well, now it just got really fucking uncomfortable.
Now it's just really weird. Yeah. I will say though, I have a couple gripes with the movie as far as like I thought the gore was great, especially for its time. I thought it was cool. They did the classic zombie thing where the zombies just sit there and like a little circle jerk, eating the guts with their hands. Instead of like the eating it like out of a dog food bowl or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I had a couple gripes. Like one, I did notice they seemed to have ripped off another zombie movie we reviewed.
Mm.
In Zombie 2. Like they had a lot of scenes in this movie. It was like straight out of Zombie 2.
Yeah.
Like the zombie resurrection scene.
Mm.
The zombie just slowly came up out of the ground and had like the maggots on the eyes and stuff. I was like, come on, man. That is straight up Zombie 2.
Yeah.
Well, then the scene where they pulled the woman into the glass very reminiscent of the Splinter scene.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Daniel, as you watch more into zombie films from Italy and stuff like that, you'll start noticing a lot of them almost kind of one-upping each other. And I mean, Tony, you can kind of contest to that. I mean, especially with Umberto Lenzi films, it almost seems like he was trying to always one-up somebody.
Lindsay was the king of that, man. He was he did that a lot.
yeah. Well, I can't probably call it plagiarism.
But yeah, and even matter of fact, even Tony, doesn't Umberto Lenzi have an eye shard scene as well in one of his films?
And he does kind of have a scene similar to that in Nightmare City.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Her eye gets punctured by a shard of glass.
Yeah, which, well, no, with this one it's like a poker, but yeah, it's kind of similar. I know it's been talked about before, being very similar, but even with Nightmare City, technically, even if you ask Lindsay, he's like, that is not an Italian zombie, or that is not a zombie film. It's an infected people film. So even he doesn't consider that a zombie film. But yeah, because the infected are actually, like we talked about earlier, they're moving quick, they're fast, they have a lot more. They shoot guns. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But people look at them and their aesthetic, and they're like, oh, those are zombies. Look like zombies, so they're zombies. So
it's
yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's a good.
They use guns.
Well, they use a whole bunch of shit too. Like they're smart. Like they're very very in articulate when it comes to what, like, using tools and stuff like that. So yeah, that's an interesting movie. But Lindsay was known very much to do stuff like that, especially what was popular in America at the time. He would kind of make one-offs of that and try to capitalize on the success of those movies. But
you say they're good at using tools. I just can't help but think like of a zombie pulling over trying to help a guy like fix his tire or something.
Well, right. Like they don't, like what we normally see as like North Americans in our zombie films. They don't do anything like that. I mean, they actually do a lot more. So I mean, we need to cover that movie. That's a bonkers movie, dude. Really. But the thing I wanted to mention about Burial Ground that I love is the location, man. That castle, so cool. It's incredible. I love the location.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Absolutely, man. You get lost, especially when they're shooting inside the castle and you get lost in the corridor and all that. That dude is so cool. It's really neat to see, especially for the time it came out in the 80s. You know, you didn't see a lot of films shot in a castle at that time. You know, that was more of like a Hammer, 60s, 70s thing. So
yeah,
for the time, all that, especially in an Italian zombie film, it's really.
that'd be an interesting conversation to have, like the difference between infect movies and zombie movies, and like what differentiates the two, and what are like some of the best infect movies and versus some of the best zombie movies, how do they compare? Because y'all talk about that a lot, and it just gets me thinking about like Parasite movies too. Would y'all consider those Parasite movies or infect movies? Like Shivers, for instance. We discussed it. It was more of a infect movie, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there was like a host, so that would yeah.
In my opinion, that would be a Parasite.
Yeah.
Parasitic film.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe a little both.
Okay. Yeah. One could see where it would fall under two categories. Yeah. It's an interesting conversation, man, for sure.
Yeah. I'm not trying to harp too much on like Capcom inspired horror games either, but like it reminds me of there's an episode of X-Files. I think it was season 8 or 9, which is like, this is when Mulder had already left and they got oh gosh, what's his name? Patrick, the guy who played T-1000.
Robert Patrick?
Robert Patrick, thank you.
Yeah.
They got him on the show, and I gotta say, that's like, I know this is kind of might be blasphemous to say, and a lot of people might get angry when I say it, but the last 2 seasons of X-Files had some of the coolest episodes with Robert Patrick and Scully. Now, it sucked not having Mulder on the show, and it did get kind of wild, but there were some really cool episodes, and one episode in particular was a parasitic episode where it was this they come across this cult that was living off the land, and they would basically kidnap you and put this parasite on your back that would leach into you and basically mind control you
Yeah.
to turn into this, like, just brainless zombie cultist. And that was basically the theme of Resident Evil 4. And so us talking about these two movies just really got me thinking about that. And but it's cool to see that. It's cool to see the influence. You know what I mean?
Really.
And I don't know. I want to go back and watch that episode too. It was a good one. But what else about Burial Ground? I mean, great gore. It really did have some good gore in it. It was pretty solid, and it had a really cool ending. Like, it wasn't like didn't have one of those just out of nowhere happy-go-lucky endings. Like, it was a drab ending.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty messed up ending.
Yeah. I think yeah, because I didn't mention, but Leslie Before His Lie, that ending too. Holy shit! I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah. So good stuff. And they mispronounced some words, or misspelled some words at the end there. That was nice. But yeah, it was a fun one. It was definitely worth a watch.
I'm glad you checked it out, man. I'm so glad you checked it out.
I'm glad that little Michael will forever remain in my heart.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those faces you'll never forget.
So
A face only a mother could love, except he has two dads.
I think I told you guys this, but I've got a guy at work that actually looks like Michael.
No way.
I'm not lying. Every time I see him at work, I'm just like, oh my god.
Mother.
I mean, he doesn't have the hair, but just the face. He looks exactly like him in the face, and it creeps me out. I definitely walk away from him.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not listening right now.
Right. I was gonna say, hopefully he's not listening.
He goes to IMDb, sees a picture of Michael, and he's like, "Wait a minute, that's me! You son of a bitch!"
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
So that's me.
Right on, man.
All right. Well, I watched a movie that's actually very nostalgic for me. This is a film that I actually watched as a young child. And I actually I kind of started it like halfway through the film, and it took me a couple of years to try and figure out what the hell this film was. But it's a film from 1984, and the first time I saw it, it was actually airing on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day.
Wow.
And it's Night of the Comet.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is so dark, so bleak, and yet so fun. And I guess this was kind of the start for my strong female roles that I like in films. And these two females in this film just really capture that whole essence. But it's a film about, or it follows two young women that are sisters, Regina and Samantha. And basically Regina is this. I would say she's more of the badass sister, and she's not going to take shit from people. And she works at a movie theater, and she stays the night there with her boyfriend, or I guess the guy she's just doing. But they stay the night in the what do you call it? The production booth, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I thought we were in the what is it? Because he was the projectionist, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he was in the projectionist room.
Yeah.
I think that's where they spent the night.
Yeah, they stayed there. because he was actually ripping the movie theater off, and he was selling copies of the film. So people were making copies of it, and they would bring it back to him, and he would get paid that way.
Oh yeah.
So that's what he was doing, and he had lent the movie out, and he had to stay the night there to get the movie the next morning. Well, this comet was happening all over, and everyone wanted to see it. And in the early stages, they said that we don't know what this is about, but we have lost contact with like Germany and France and stuff like that. And so they started losing contact on the other side of the world as this comet was passing by, and they just didn't know what was going on. Lo and behold, everyone was going outside to see this comet and turning into orange dust piles.
Mhm.
However, the the story is that if you stayed in a steel structure of some sort, you weren't affected by it.
Yeah.
However, some of the people that didn't get fully exposed turned into these zombie-like creatures. And you meet one of them the next morning. Her boyfriend goes to figure out where the hell this film is, so he's going to meet the guy that has the film. And as he walks out the door, he's met by a zombie outside the door, and obviously gets hit pretty rapidly by a giant pipe wrench, and then I guess eaten. Um, so Regina, she comes in contact with this same zombie as well. She finds the keys to her boyfriend's motorcycle, hauls ass back to her house, and meets up with Samantha, who actually had a fight with their stepmother and stayed the night in a shed. So she wasn't affected at all. Um, Now, kind of going through, they hear a radio station, so they instantly go to the radio station. That's something I didn't bring up yet. Samantha, she's way different than Regina. She's more of the valley girl. She's very bubbly.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to believe that this is happening. Um, there's even one scene where Regina's like, wake up, no one's alive, where's all the kids, and she goes out into the street, and she was like, this is our stepmother, and she picks up the dust, or the dusty dress that her stepmother was wearing. And now what I really loved was the fact that you seen like fake fingernails and stuff laying out in these piles of dust too. I thought that was a really cool touch.
Yeah.
But they end up going to the radio station where they heard a DJ playing music. So they went there, and turns out it was just a recording. So they went on there, and they started talking live and trying to find if anyone else was out there surviving. And they came in contact with a group of scientists who uh, actually did get affected, because even though they're scientists, they they um they accidentally left the fucking vents open to where they were underground. So they still got affected by the comet, but they were decreasing, or not decreasing. What am I guess decomposing slowly. And I thought
Yeah.
that was a cool touch too. But I'm not going to ruin everything. They end up trying to figure out a way to stay alive. Um, and then obviously Regina and Samantha kind of have to fight there, which I thought was really cool. So this film was, action packed, because it was like the 80s actiony film, yet it
Mhm.
was also kind of like a zombie film, very sci-fi-ish. Um, and yeah, honestly, just as a young child watching this film, I fell in love with it. Um, and then now I watch it pretty often. Actually, this is about a 3 time year watch for me.
You
So
guys say you watched it
Wow.
all back.
do what?
I was gonna say you
Yeah, I
watched
know
it a while back.
this is a top 10 for you, man. So
Oh yeah, yeah. This is up there. And the story, just comes down to
yeah.
this was kind of one of the films that my grandfather and I watched
Uh-oh.
together, and he didn't watch stuff like this usually, But
I'm
yeah, so that's why it's very nostalgic for me. But I mean, just the genius behind this film, really, too. Like, there's one scene where
It's a great film, man. You like these two lead characters. I mean, they're right, and they connect really well because they're sisters and stuff like that. So they care about each other so much. You could tell throughout the film that they just love each other. They're always there for each other and stuff like that. You just get invested in that, man. But they have that cool dynamic where like you said, the younger sister's kind of like the bubbly, like Valley Girl type. Even she wears her cheerleader outfit through through the movie and stuff like that. Like you see her in her cheerleader outfit, so it kind of has that look. And then the other sister's kind of like the older, badass sister, the rebel kind of plays that up. But there's one thing I love, and that this is what I really enjoy about the movie. And I know it's a nice little touch, but I think you're gonna know what I'm talking about, dude. Where she works in the movie theater, she's
Mhm.
always playing this arcade game,
Mhm.
and it pisses her off because she's got all the high scores except for one. So she's constantly trying to outdo that high score to get her name all down the list.
Well, throughout
But I love
the
that.
film,
I
she's trying
love
to
that.
figure out what the hell DMK is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because she's got her name all over the high scores and stuff like that, and it's just driving her crazy. So she keeps going back to it, and I love that they keep doing that. They keep showing her going back to it. That's great. It's a nice little touch, man.
Yeah, and
Enjoy the
then
hell.
towards the end, they actually come in contact with a gentleman who's actually kind of wealthy. He's like, yeah, I own 6 of these cars, and on the license plate it says DMK.
Yeah, so it comes around full circle. I love that, dude. I love it.
Yeah,
So cool.
yeah, that was a neat touch. Yeah, honestly, one of the things that I really love about this film, besides the strong female roles, uh, the detail, the eye to detail on this film is just phenomenal. You don't really think about it
Mhm.
because you think about it just as a film, but there's one scene where the scientists, they explain that they're slowly decomposing and they're dying, and they're trying to find a way to stay alive, or at least slow the process even more. Um, and the one girl goes to the one female scientist. She's like writing in a journal, and she goes to spell the word memory, and she can't remember to spell the word. I mean, and they're starting to get dumb, you know.
Mhm.
And I thought that was like really cool.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah,
'Cause she
absolutely.
even went
Like you
to
said,
go
the
write,
attention to detail.
yeah, she went to go write like memory loss. She couldn't even figure out how to spell memory. She kept like crossing it out, and finally, I think she just gave up writing it. I thought that was just a really neat touch. But overall, this was a fun film for me. And it always is a fun film. It's not one of those very gory films, and you don't actually see a whole lot of zombies in the film. But
Mhm.
it's the fact that it's dark and bleak, and you almost feel alone watching this film too. And that's what I like about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the director captured that feeling perfectly when he shot this, man. He really did.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I just can't say enough. And like you said, Tony, the difference between the two sisters, very very fun to watch, and then yet how much they get along. I mean, down to like I forget the guy's name, but they come across a guy, and instantly like Regina and him start hitting it off pretty well, and Samantha gets so jealous so fast, and she's like, he might be the last guy on Earth, and you're gonna get him. you know?
Yeah, she gets real jealous. Yeah, but yeah, they just play off sisters so well because they really genuinely feel like two sisters. Like they
Yeah.
have, at the end of the day, they have like they probably get on each other's nerves a little bit, but at the end of the day, they love each other and they're always there for each other. So you really feel that relationship between them, and it has a lot to do with the two leads. Like their acting is really great, spot on, believable.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, yeah, dude. Like I said, and that's the one thing about this movie for me is like I said, man, if you do characters well, if you give them a lot to work with, these actresses they had plenty to work with a good script. Um, and it shines with their performances because they have there's a lot of great dialogue in this movie too. So it's just so much to enjoy. And like you said, the aesthetic where everybody, the people that work most of the comic just turn into dust. So there's little piles of dust around, and it's just, it's fun, man. This is just such a fun movie. I love how just the air is thick, the atmosphere with with the red and stuff like that, and I really enjoy that shot where they're the city is completely like almost abandoned, and it's just them two, and our Valley girl is like shooting the Uzi, like, and it's so cool, that shot. I don't know why, it like if I had a poster shot of the movie, that would be my poster shot.
Yeah.
Because it's really iconic scene for that movie for sure. Because she's standing right next to her sister, so it looks cool.
Yeah, they're both shooting an Uzi. I really want to know where they got those Uzis from because it didn't really explain that in the film.
Yeah,
They just had them.
wasn't it her dad, his arsenal or something like that? I thought.
Maybe I know he trained them, and that's the reason why they kicked ass so much in the film.
Yeah, I thought for sure, but it's like I said, it's been a while. I need to go back and watch this movie again, man.
Well, confession, I have not seen this movie.
So sorry we ruined it for you.
No, it's fine. I'll forget. I don't give a shit. But I've really been wanting to check it out. I've had my hands on it a few times, like the Screen Factory edition. Was going to buy it, just never got around to doing it. That is a movie if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to borrow it from you so I can watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, because it always interested me. Kind of has like a, just from looking at the cover, it kind of has like a They Live vibe to it.
Yeah, it really does. I don't know
I'll grab
if
that.
it's because the set is just so similar or what, or maybe it's because of the time period. But that's why I said it feels very action, like 80s actiony, almost like They Live. Even down to the score. The score is the same way. But yeah, that's it for me. Real quick, I just wanted to give before we landed the plane and everything, I just wanted to give a couple honorable mentions to zombie films that I watched the past month and stuff honestly that I grew to love when I in my earlier form of collecting the horror genre and everything. Um but I watched two films particular from the past and then one recent one. But I watched Dead and Buried.
Nice.
Um, and just honestly because I haven't revisited that in so long, and I just wanted to. And honestly, it kind of rekindled my love for that film because watching that film, it was like almost a first time watch again.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zombie Lake, and again, I had forgotten the everything about that film, just how crummy the film was, how cheesy it was. The makeup was awful, the acting was awful. Everything about that film really wasn't the greatest. But just the storyline was really beautiful and good, and I love that storyline. And then the other one that I watched was Yummy, and that's the most recent one. And I have a lot of fun with that one actually. And it's if you haven't seen any of these films, go check them out because they're awesome. But Yummy in particular is a pretty fun one. And it's more recent and batshit crazy and off the wall. It's a fun one. Uh, Tony, you have any of them that you want to mention?
Yeah. Actually, I did get a chance to piggyback off you, Corey. I did get a chance to see Yummy. And that was a blast. That was so much fun. I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. Another more modern zombie film with a little different twist.
Yummy.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the setting and the plot. Yeah, very different. But I think it works well, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, this is Belgium's first zombie film, so this is kind of a breakthrough for them. Dipping their toes into the zombie subgenre. So really, really cool, man. I highly recommend it. I don't want to really say too much about it because I want kind of people, if they do go in and check it out, to kind of watch it and not be spoiled or anything. So I'll kind of
That,
hold off
I
too
was
much.
kind of wondering about that. I didn't dive into where this film originated from because the case that I got, it looks like it's like a Canadian release. So I was like, and then when I heard people almost like speaking French, I was like, oh, okay, but it comes from French Canada or whatever, but or Canada, sorry,
Canada.
Canada. But then like some people were like speaking like really bad English Russian, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh man, this is terrible. But, but yeah, I didn't know. I had a hard time trying to figure out where the hell this film came from. So
Yeah.
thank you, Tony, for that.
You're very welcome, man. It's actually a Belgian film, so it's so much fun, dude. I thoroughly enjoy this movie as well. Um, it was like I said, I didn't know too much about it going into it, so that kind of helped with the overall experience. Kind of, you know, a lot more fun when you go into it blind. So just knowing that it's a zombie film, and really that's the bare minimum you need to know going into it. And I think if that's the case, you're gonna end up having a good time. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, that was a blast. Really, really enjoyed the hell out of that. Um, but yeah, man. Other than that, it's been. I didn't get a chance to watch really any more zombie films, which I'm kind of bummed out about. But it's been super crazy busy, and
yeah,
um, yeah. So, but yeah, Yummy was great. The ones that we covered on the show, so many good ones, dude. It's really, really great starting off, kicking it off. If we, go on to do February is, zombie month. You really couldn't have started any better. I think we started off with some of the best to ever come out. So, um,
yeah,
yeah, really, really excited, man. Looking forward to doing this again.
yeah,
Heck yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we've established that I believe all three of us have established that February is going to be the dedicated zombie month for us. So we will be covering zombie films throughout the month of February every year now,
Right on.
which I'm excited about because it's one of my favorite subgenres. So
Because everybody likes zombies.
Yeah. Walking Dead has completely killed it for most people. Yeah, so
Oh, there.
yeah.
I still watch The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah. It's all good, man. Like I'm just Walking Dead's awesome. It started off great. I loved it, and really the reason I haven't watched it is because I don't have AMC anymore, so watching it was kind of difficult. So I kind of lost the connection to it. Well, not connection to it, but I just couldn't watch it. So, but I think what I'm gonna do is check it out, get the seasons, and kind of jump back on it and check it out and see what I've missed for the past. I don't know now 3 seasons now since I haven't seen it. So there's a lot to catch up on probably.
Especially now because I believe they're canceling the show altogether. So, or not canceling, I just haven't signed any contracts. So I believe this is
Yes.
the season.
Yeah, it's coming to an end.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can only do the same thing so much, and it just seems like it's getting that way. I don't mean to sound bad about that, but I mean, you can only have so many villains, and you can only do so much. And then,
Yeah.
but I mean, with spin-offs that they have going on right now, so I've been watching those too, and they've been kind of taking off pretty good.
Right on. Yeah. I have to get into those two, but yeah, yeah, I'll probably end up checking out a couple more seasons that I've missed over the past past year or two. So yeah, just to see what's going on. I still love it. I mean, because of the effects and Greg Nicotero working on it and everything like that. So you always have that to look forward to. But
Yeah. Well, he's directing more episodes now and stuff, so that's really cool.
That too. That's another good thing.
Yeah. But with that, you guys ready to land it?
Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. Once again, we thank you so much for listening. As a reminder, you can find us on YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio. You can find us on pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Podbean. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave us a review, leave us a comment. That would be awesome. That would help push the show, as we explained in the beginning of the show. Check out our Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, go to the search bar, type in the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. It is a closed group, but we will let you in. We do also have a Twitter. I forgot to mention. Monster_corner. I don't know why I always fuck that up. Monster_corner on Twitter. We have a TikTok, Midnight Monster 20 on there. So yeah, well, I mean, we got some things on the horizon we'll be working on. So the more you guys support us and like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, the more the show grows, the more we'll be capable of putting out more content for you guys. Got some things in the works now. I guess one thing I can kind of spoil it a little. We will be trying to work out some sort of deal with. Is it Horror Pack? Is that the actual name of the company?
Yes, it's Horror Pack. I've reached out to them, and they've actually gotten back in contact. They want me to do, or they want us to do some unboxings for them and review on their company and films and stuff. So.
Really cool company, especially if you're lacking in your collection. It's pretty affordable. You can pay, I think you pay monthly or you pay annually. What is it, like $250 for the year?
Yeah, I believe it's $270 for the Blu-ray pack. It's cheaper for the DVD pack too.
Yeah, but you get like what, 4 movies a pack, something crazy like that.
Yeah, so you get an exclusive film, which is usually produced by them, and then you also get 3 at random. And I've actually gotten some really good titles, even some Scream Factories in the Blu-ray pack. So that's always fun.
So yeah, once we get the our little I guess beta test of the hardback, we'll be making a video on it, and we'll be asking you guys to spread the word, maybe even start a hashtag or something to get their attention, let them know that we are interested in doing more of that. Then maybe we can look into the future of doing more stuff for you guys. It helps the show and it helps promote just a really cool cause. Especially if you're big into just horror movies or just films in general. I think it's really cool that they offer that service. Especially if you're like me and you're lacking in the collection department, or you're an idiot and sold half of your stuff, and now you're trying to rebuild, like me. But so yeah, that's that. If there's no other announcements from you guys, go ahead and land this plane.
Let's do it.
No.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, and we will see you guys next week.
Later, guys.
Later.